grow up in a super religious family or any religious family where being gay is looked down on, you might not want to admit it. You might not come out, but it doesn't mean you don't feel it in yourself.
But so you're saying if a couple's driving a Subaru, they're not more likely to have a child that could be gay than somebody else?
No, they're more likely to have, if they do have a kid that's gay, they're more likely to have a kid that's comfortable with being gay as opposed to repressed about it and feeling like they can't express that.
I feel like
but there is, I mean, and this is, kind of surprising, right? You would, because people say, oh, parents are so important. Parents are important, but they're not important in everything. And whether you're gay or straight, parents don't have a damn thing to do with it.
Now, what if somebody's almost gay, right? They think about being gay sometimes, but they're not being gay. Are they like, I just wonder, is there a level of that kind of like almost gay where then the kid is gay? You know what I'm saying?
Well, so when you say the kid is gay, though, what do you mean? You mean
just the kid is?
Well, to me, what I'm talking about is what do you feel in your heart about your own self?
Right.
What do you answer in an anonymous survey? Not when you're too scared to be in your school or your community or with your coworkers or with your family, but what's really inside you. Parents don't matter for that. Parents matter a lot, and your community matters a lot for, are you willing to admit it? Are you willing to come out? Are you willing to, bring your gay partner home to meet the folks? Their parents and community matter enormously.
Yeah.
Right?
Does nature, and this is awesome, and it's Pride Month too, so I'm glad that we're talking about some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Is being gay an abnormality to nature?
Well, let's put it this way.
And I don't mean negative abnormality.
Yeah.
I just mean, is it something unique to nature? Or is that the right term?
Well, I don't know what unique to nature is. Nature is everything we got. So, but I can tell you this, and you've probably heard this before. We're not the only animals that where there's same-sex sexual behavior, right? You can find in lots of different critters. What is true, though, is that if you look at examples, sheep are a good example, right? Okay, some male sheep will mount other male sheep, right? Okay, are they really gay? Well, actually, they're bi. So it turns out when you look at critters and you look at same-sex behavior, it's almost never exclusive same-sex
so they're just having a good time.
Behavior.
They're in a frat. No offense, dude. And that's just
so that is somewhat different. But in terms of, is there can we divine a larger purpose for gay and bisexual behavior? People have theorized about this. They've theorized about the contribution of the gay aunts or uncles in helping to raise kids, the same way people talk about the grandparent effect, pitching in. Whether that is really a true thing or not, I would say is still very much up in the air.
Interesting. That's a cool answer, man. Bring up the sheep again. That's really interesting. I didn't know this. Homosexual behavior in sheep has been well documented and studied. The domestic sheep is the only species of mammal, except for humans, which exhibits exclusive homosexual behavior.
Well, so that's contradicting what I just said. That's interesting.
A good point. I wonder if this is, but this is also Wikipedia.
But Wikipedia probably is more up to date than me. Sheep may be an exception, but if you look, there's a whole lot of different species that do have homosexual behavior, and for most of them, it's not exclusive homosexual behavior.
Okay. Go back to that again, actually, because I think a lot of what you're saying is in here. 30% of all rams, which are male sheep, demonstrate at least some homosexual behavior. One report on sheep found that 8% of rams exhibited homosexual preferences. That is, even when given a choice, they chose male over female partners. This documented homosexual preference has garnered much discussion. Such rams prefer to court and mount other rams only, even in the presence of estrus ewes. Anyway, it's interesting. I'd never thought about this or even talked about it with somebody, so this is pretty cool.
Well, so I think the important thing here is that this is not just something humans came up with.
Right.
Right? It's not, and if you're trying to explain it as a moral failing, right? As many religions would. Well, you would have to say, well, it didn't start with us.
Right.
Pete Buttigieg says, had a real good quote, and I'm paraphrasing him, and he was saying, I've been felt gay as soon as I had any sexual feelings whatsoever. It wasn't a choice.
Yeah.
If your quarrel with me, Mike Pence, is not with me, it's with my creator. I got made gay. I was born that way.
That's a great statement, huh?
Yeah. No, I think it gets to the heart of the matter. Like if you ask a straight man, when did you decide to be straight?
Yeah.
No guys go, oh yeah, I was thinking about it and I was weighing the pro and cons and I was like, well, all right, you got pussy over here. You got dick over.
It was February.
Well, and so yeah, okay, I kind of came down like I'm going to be straight. No, like no guy ever answers that way.
You're right. Oh yeah, I think that's pretty ridiculous, and I think that to me it doesn't feel like that would be a moral thing. I just wonder. I guess I wonder. I wonder sometimes does nature, because nature, I guess I always look at it as male and female needed to reproduce to keep like existence happening, right? And so then I wonder at some point, does nature need more like gay energy? I just in the you know what I'm saying? I just don't know sometimes like what nature's plan is, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
and I guess it's TBD, some of it.
A lot of it is. Yeah.
Is love scientifically quantifiable?
Well, it kind of is. In other words, certainly new love is, right?
New love.
So if we take people who are in that like obsessional, first 6 months, just crazy about you phase.
Fucking drool in your eyes.
And we put them in a brain scanner and show them a picture of their beloved, right? And then we image it and we look at what do we see? Well, we see that there's this part of the brain that's part of kind of the pleasure and reward circuitry. That lights up. That's and Huberman was talking about this. It's called the dopamine neurons of the ventral tegmental area. So they light up, and then we also see the prefrontal cortex of the brain, the part of the brain that's really involved in making careful, reasoned, rational decisions. That's like turned way the hell down. So what that means is like, think about this in terms of your own subjective experience of being truly, madly, deeply in love. You're going like, oh yeah, she's so great. And that sore on her lip will clear up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the other thing that happens, there's this part of the brain called the amygdala that's very involved in fear and feeling under threat. And that's also turned way down, even below normal.
Wow.
Right? Because you feel very comfortable. You feel very safe. So the interesting thing, right, is so this study was done with people who were in that truly, madly, deeply early phase.
Yeah.
So then you go to old married people who've been together for a real long time, and you ask them, you say, do you feel the same way about your partner as you did when you first met? And 19 out of 20 people will say, well, no, right? It's not that same crazy, passionate, wonderful, obsessed, got to have sex every minute thing that when we first met. It's sort of settled into a more mature, loving, kind of respectful sort of thing. But 1 out of 20 people will say, no, it's just as intense, just as passionate as always was. And I know when I heard this, I said, you're lying.
That's what I thought. This person's crazy.
Well, not just lying. They're full of shit.
Yeah, and they're pervert. They're probably
maybe they just want to
swingers.
appear a certain way.
They're swingers, David.
But they're saying this about not their piece on the side, but their long-term partner.
Got it.
And so, what happens when you put old married people in the brain scanner? Well, the 19 out of 20 people who say no, it's not the same way it was when we first met. Their amygdala is not turned down. Their prefrontal cortex is not turned down. They're seeing their partner in the cold, clear light of day with all their rational faculties. But that 1 out of 20 people that says they are truly, madly, deeply still, the brain agrees with them. In other words, their brain scan looks like someone feeling new love. And now, what do these people have that most of us don't have, and how can we get it? We don't know. Be good to bottle that.
Yeah, gosh, I'd do a couple grams of it right now, dude. I wouldn't say anything. I'd eat it. I'd put a pill under my tongue and let it, I'd do a half an 8-ball of it right now and take you to a damn Sphere show of the Grateful Dead. It'd be fun. Yeah, I think love is something that certainly gives us a sense of purpose, I think,
Absolutely.
Do you feel like humans these days, we talk a lot about purpose on here. Do you feel like humans these days that we're losing that we're losing a sense of purpose? That's what it feels like sometimes to me.
Well, certainly there are fewer and fewer people who are involved in relationships, and fewer people who are living together, and more people who are living alone. And the people who are living alone aren't always replacing a romantic partner with lots of time with friends. A lot of times they're replacing it with, the internet, with watching podcasts like this. Not to disparage podcasts like this, but what I'm saying is not the same, right?
Yeah.
So I think there is a crisis of connection that people are feeling right now, and I think